Tom wiped the sweat from his forehead as he crawled through the narrow maintenance tunnel of the diplomatic vessel Unity. The atmospheric control system had been acting up all morning, and today was definitely not the day for technical problems. In 3 hours, they would make first contact with the Zephyrian Empire, the most powerful alien civilization humans had ever encountered. "Come on, you stupid machine," Tom muttered as he twisted his wrench around a stubborn bolt. Sparks flew from the control panel, and he quickly pulled his hand back. The ship's translation matrix was connected to this system, and if it failed during the ceremony, the diplomatic mission would be a disaster. Above him, he could hear Captain Rodriguez giving final instructions to the diplomatic team. The Zephyrians were known for their strict ceremonies and ancient laws. One wrong word could mean war between their species. Tom had been working on spaceships for 12 years. He was good at his job, but he never expected to be part of something this important. He just wanted to fix the machine and stay out of everyone's way. The bolt finally loosened, and Tom pulled out the damaged circuit board. It was worse than he thought. The translation matrix would work, but it might have some glitches. He hoped the diplomats would keep their speeches simple. 2 hours later, the Zephyrian ships appeared outside their windows. They were massive, crystalline vessels that seemed to be made of living gems. Each ship was 3 times bigger than the Unity, and there were 12 of them arranged in perfect formation. Tom watched from the maintenance deck as the alien queen's personal ship docked with theirs. He had never seen anything like it. The hull was transparent blue crystal that pulsed with soft light, and strange symbols flowed across its surface like water. Queen Vera of the Zephyrians was the first to board the Unity. Tom caught a glimpse of her through the security cameras as she walked down the main corridor. She was 7 feet tall with crystalline skin that sparkled like diamonds. Her eyes glowed with silver light, and she wore robes that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. Behind her walked 6 royal guards, each one looking like a walking statue made of precious stones. The ceremony was held in the main diplomatic hall. Tom stayed in the maintenance room, monitoring the translation system on his small screen. Everything seemed to be working fine as Captain Rodriguez welcomed the alien delegation. Queen Vera stepped forward and began speaking in her native language. Her voice sounded like musical chimes echoing through a crystal cave. The translation matrix converted her words into English for the human crew. "Greetings, children of Earth," her translated voice said through the speakers. "We come in peace to establish bonds between our civilizations. May this meeting bring prosperity to both our peoples." Captain Rodriguez replied with a formal response that had been practiced dozens of times. Tom smiled as he watched the peaceful exchange. Maybe this would go smoothly after all. Then the atmospheric control system started acting up again. Warning lights flashed on Tom's control panel. The air recycling system was overheating, and if he didn't fix it quickly, the ceremony hall would become too hot for the humans to handle. He grabbed his tools and crawled back into the maintenance tunnel. The problem was worse than before. A coolant line had burst, and steam was filling the narrow space. Tom worked frantically to patch the leak while the ceremony continued above him. He could hear Queen Vera speaking again, and Captain Rodriguez giving his responses. "This is impossible," Tom said as he struggled with the broken coolant line. Hot steam burned his arms as he tried to reach the emergency valve. "I'd rather marry a wrench than deal with this broken system." The moment he spoke those words, everything went quiet in the ceremony hall above. Tom didn't notice at first. He was too focused on fixing the coolant leak. But then he heard gasps and confused voices coming through the ventilation system. Something had gone wrong. Unknown to Tom, his frustrated comment had been picked up by the ship's internal communication system. The translation matrix, damaged and glitchy, had converted his words into the ancient Zephyrian language and broadcast them directly into the ceremony hall. But the translation was completely wrong. Instead of translating his angry comment about preferring to marry a wrench, the broken system had converted his words into an ancient Zephyrian marriage proposal. Not just any marriage proposal, but the formal ceremonial words used by royal suitors when asking for a queen's hand in marriage. In the ceremony hall, Queen Vera stood frozen as Tom's translated words echoed through the room. According to Zephyrian law, any formal marriage proposal made during a diplomatic ceremony must be answered immediately. If she refused, it would be considered a grave insult to the proposer's entire species. The queen's silver eyes widened as she realized what had happened. The human male had just proposed marriage to her using the most ancient and binding words in her language. By law, she had only two choices: accept the proposal or declare war on humanity. Captain Rodriguez stared in horror as he realized what was happening. The translation of Tom's words was displaying on his screen, and it clearly showed a marriage proposal. But Tom was still in the maintenance tunnels, completely unaware of what he had accidentally done. "Your Majesty," Captain Rodriguez said quickly, "there has been a translation error. The human who spoke those words did not intend." Queen Vera raised her hand for silence. Her royal guard stepped forward, their crystalline hands moving to their energy weapons. The tension in the room became thick enough to cut with a knife. "The proposal has been made in proper form during a sacred ceremony," Queen Vera said, her musical voice now cold and formal. "According to the laws of my people, I must give my answer." She looked around the room at the confused human diplomats. Her advisors were whispering frantically in her ears, but she ignored them. The law was clear. If she refused this proposal, it would mean that humans were not worthy of marriage alliance with Zephyrians. By their ancient code, this would make humans enemies to be conquered. Tom finally fixed the coolant leak and climbed out of the maintenance tunnel. He was covered in grease and steam burns, completely unaware that his life was about to change forever. "Fixed it," he called out as he entered the ceremony hall through a side door. "Sorry for the noise. The atmospheric controls should work fine now." Everyone in the room turned to stare at him. Tom stopped walking as he noticed the strange silence. Queen Vera was looking directly at him with her glowing silver eyes, and her expression was unreadable. "This is the human who made the proposal," one of her advisors whispered in translated English. Tom looked around in confusion. "Proposal? What proposal? I was just fixing the air system." Queen Vera stepped forward, her crystalline robes flowing around her like liquid light. She was so tall that Tom had to crane his neck to look at her face. "Human male," she said in her musical voice, "you have made a formal marriage proposal to me using the sacred words of my ancestors. By the laws of my people, I accept." The room exploded into chaos. Captain Rodriguez jumped to his feet. "Your Majesty, please, there's been a mistake." "The sacred words have been spoken and accepted," Queen Vera interrupted. "The marriage bond is now sealed by cosmic law." Tom's mouth fell open. "Marriage? I didn't propose to anyone. I was talking about a wrench." But it was too late. The ceremony had been broadcast live across 17 star systems, and billions of beings had witnessed the accidental proposal and acceptance. The Zephyrian royal computer systems had already registered the marriage as legally binding. Queen Vera's advisors were arguing loudly in their chiming language. Some seemed angry, others appeared terrified. The human diplomatic team was trying to explain the translation error, but the Zephyrian guards were not listening. "This is impossible," Tom said, backing toward the door. "I can't be married to an alien queen. I'm just a maintenance guy." Queen Vera studied him with her glowing eyes. For a moment, her formal expression softened, and Tom thought he saw something like amusement in her alien features. "The cosmic laws do not care about your profession," she said. "You are now my husband by sacred right." The royal guard stepped forward and bowed to Tom. Their leader, a massive crystalline being with emerald-colored skin, spoke in halting English. "Greetings, new king of Zephyr Empire. We serve you now." Tom felt like the floor was falling away beneath his feet. Through the windows, he could see news ships from dozens of species arriving to cover the story. The accidental marriage was already being reported across the galaxy. Captain Rodriguez was frantically trying to contact Earth Command. The Zephyrian advisors were arguing about ancient laws and cosmic treaties. Queen Vera stood in the center of it all, watching Tom with an expression he couldn't understand. And Tom, still covered in grease from fixing the atmospheric controls, realized that his simple life as a maintenance technician was over forever. The chaos was just beginning. 3 days after the accidental wedding, Tom sat in what used to be a storage room but was now being called the Royal Human Quarters. He stared at the formal robes the Zephyrian servants had brought him. The fabric seemed to be made of actual starlight, and it felt warm to the touch. "I can't wear this," Tom said to Captain Rodriguez, who had been trying to explain the political situation. "I look ridiculous in fancy clothes." "Tom, you need to understand how serious this is," the captain replied, pacing back and forth. 3 Zephyrian noble houses have declared war on each other. They're saying your marriage to Queen Vera is illegal because you're not royal blood. Tom rubbed his head. The past 3 days had been the strangest of his life. Everywhere he went on the ship, Zephyrian guards bowed to him. They called him King Tom and insisted on tasting his food before he ate it. He couldn't even fix a broken light bulb without them treating it like a royal decree. "What does Queen Vera say about all this?" Tom asked. "She's been in meetings with her advisors for 18 hours straight," Captain Rodriguez said. "The political situation is getting worse every hour." Outside the window, Tom could see the Zephyrian fleet. What had started as 12 ceremonial ships was now over 100 vessels. Some belonged to the noble houses that supported the marriage, others to those who opposed it. The tension between them was growing dangerous. A soft chime announced someone at the door. Queen Vera entered, but she looked different from the composed ruler Tom had met 3 days ago. Her crystalline skin was dimmer, and her glowing eyes seemed tired. "Tom," she said in her musical voice, "we need to talk." Captain Rodriguez excused himself, leaving Tom alone with his accidental wife. She sat down across from him, her 7-foot frame making the human-sized chair look tiny. "How bad is it?" Tom asked. Queen Vera was quiet for a moment. "House Crimson claims the marriage violates the bloodline law. House Azure says I have brought shame to the throne. House Golden has declared that they will not recognize you as king. Maybe we should just get divorced," Tom suggested. "End this whole mess." "It is not that simple," Queen Vera replied. "Zephyrian marriage law requires a dissolution ceremony using sacred crystals from 12 different worlds. The journey would take months, and my enemies would use that time to destroy everything I have built." Tom noticed that her formal way of speaking had changed slightly. She seemed more relaxed, more real. "You regret this, don't you?" he asked. Queen Vera looked at him with her silver eyes. "I thought I would. But you are not what I expected, Tom of Earth." Before Tom could ask what she meant, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Captain Rodriguez's voice came over the communication system. "All hands to emergency stations. Hostile ships approaching from multiple vectors." Tom and Queen Vera rushed to the bridge. The main screen showed dozens of warships surrounding them. Some had the markings of House Crimson, others belonged to House Azure. They were positioning themselves for battle. "They mean to settle this with violence," Queen Vera said grimly. "Your Majesty," called the Zephyrian fleet commander through the communication system, "House Crimson demands you surrender the false king for execution. House Azure requires you to abdicate the throne immediately." Tom watched as more ships arrived. The space around them was filling with hostile vessels, all preparing to fight over whether his accidental marriage was legal. "This is insane," Tom said. "People are going to die because I said something stupid about a wrench." Queen Vera was giving orders to her loyal ships, but Tom could see they were vastly outnumbered. The royal fleet had only 30 vessels against more than 100 enemies. "Wait," Tom said suddenly. "I'm married to you, right? That means I have authority over your fleet." Queen Vera paused in her orders. "According to the law, yes. You are my equal in all matters of state. Tom had never commanded anything bigger than a maintenance team, but an idea was forming in his mind. He walked to the communication station and opened a channel to all ships in the area. "This is Tom," he said simply. "I guess I'm your king now, which is really weird for everyone involved." The bridge fell silent. Even Queen Vera stared at him in surprise. "I know you're all upset about this marriage thing," Tom continued. "Trust me, I'm confused too. But shooting at each other isn't going to solve anything. All ships, stand down immediately." The response was immediate chaos. Ships from House Crimson and House Azure began yelling protests through their communication systems. Tom's casual way of giving orders was completely against Zephyrian protocol. "You cannot command us, human," shouted the House Crimson leader. "You have no royal blood." "You're probably right," Tom replied calmly. "But Queen Vera is my wife, and she definitely has royal blood. So when I give an order, it's the same as her giving an order. All ships, power down weapons and back away to safe distance." What happened next surprised everyone, including Tom. Half the fleet began following his orders. The ships loyal to Queen Vera immediately powered down their weapons. But more surprisingly, several ships from the neutral noble houses also began backing away. Tom's direct, honest way of speaking was something they had never heard from a ruler before. "This is unprecedented," Queen Vera whispered to Tom. "They are actually listening to you." But the ships from House Crimson and House Azure remained in attack formation. Their leaders were furious that a human had dared to give them commands. "If you will not surrender, false king," the House Crimson commander announced, "then you will die with your illegal bride." Energy weapons began charging across the hostile fleet. Tom could see they were preparing to fire on the Unity. "Tom," Queen Vera said urgently, "you must understand. If we retreat now, it will look like weakness. My enemies will use this moment to destroy my rule." Tom looked at the screen showing over 50 enemy ships preparing to attack. Then he looked at Queen Vera, who was trying to be strong even though her world was falling apart. "What if we don't retreat or attack?" Tom asked. "I do not understand," Queen Vera said. Tom opened the communication channel again. "House Crimson, House Azure, this is King Tom again. I know you think I'm not qualified to be your ruler. You're probably right about that too." Queen Vera grabbed his arm. "Tom, what are you doing?" "But here's the thing," Tom continued. "You're about to start a war that will kill thousands of your own people. And for what? Because you don't like who your queen married?" The hostile ships paused in their attack preparations. "I'm just a guy who fixes machines," Tom said. "But I know something about fixing things. When something is broken, you don't smash it with a hammer. You figure out what's really wrong and fix that instead." "The human speaks wisdom," came a voice from one of the neutral ships. Tom felt Queen Vera's grip on his arm relax slightly. "So here's my first royal decree," Tom announced. "No one fires on anyone today. Instead, we're going to have a meeting. All the noble houses, Queen Vera, me, everyone. We'll figure out how to fix this mess without people dying." The House Crimson commander was furious. "You have no right to call for council meetings." "Actually, he does," came a new voice over the communication system. It was an ancient-sounding Zephyrian with a voice like distant thunder. "This is Elder Prism of the High Council. The human king has invoked the right of sacred discourse. All houses must attend or be declared oathbreakers." Tom had no idea what the right of sacred discourse was, but it sounded important. Queen Vera was staring at him with something that might have been amazement. "How did you know about that law?" she asked quietly. "I didn't," Tom admitted. "I just thought talking was better than shooting." The hostile ships began backing away, but their commanders were clearly angry about it. The immediate crisis was over, but Tom could see this was far from finished. "Your Majesty," the fleet commander reported, we are receiving demands from the Galactic Council. They want both you and the Human King to appear before them immediately. They are threatening sanctions against both Earth and the Zephyrian Empire. Queen Vera closed her eyes. The other species think we have made a mockery of diplomatic process. Also, Captain Rodriguez added grimly, our intelligence reports that assassin ships have been spotted in this system. Someone has put a price on both your heads. Tom felt like he was standing in the middle of a cosmic hurricane. 3 days ago, his biggest worry was fixing a broken air conditioner. Now he was married to an alien queen, several noble houses wanted him dead, the Galactic Council was angry, and assassins were hunting them. Tom, Queen Vera said softly, I must ask something of you. This marriage has brought nothing but chaos to my people. If you wish to leave, I will not blame you. I can face these challenges alone. Tom looked at her tired silver eyes and her dimmed crystalline skin. For the first time since this started, he really saw her not as an alien queen, but as a person who was trying to hold her world together while everything fell apart around her. Are you kidding? Tom said with a small smile. I'm just starting to figure out how this king thing works. Besides, I never leave a job half-finished. For the first time since he had known her, Queen Vera smiled. It was a beautiful sight, like watching stars come out at night. But outside their window, more ships were arriving. Some belonged to the Galactic Council, others to unknown factions. The chaos was spreading, and Tom realized that his simple maintenance skills might not be enough to fix this particular problem. The real test was just beginning. The meeting hall on the neutral station looked like something from Tom's worst nightmares. Representatives from all 7 Zephyrian noble houses sat around a massive crystal table, each one glaring at him with glowing eyes that held centuries of tradition and pride. Elder Prism, the ancient council leader, sat at the head of the table like a living mountain of purple crystal. Tom fidgeted with the formal robes Queen Vera had insisted he wear. They still felt ridiculous, but he was beginning to understand that appearances mattered in Zephyrian politics. The human has broken our most sacred laws, declared Lord Crimson, his red crystalline skin flickering with anger. No common-born outsider can claim the throne of Zephyr. The marriage ceremony was witnessed by 17 star systems, Queen Vera replied calmly. The cosmic laws recognize it as binding. Cosmic laws written by primitives who knew nothing of genetic purity, sneered Lady Azure, her blue skin shimmering with contempt. Tom listened to them argue for 20 minutes. They went in circles, citing ancient laws and precedents that contradicted each other. Finally, he raised his hand like a student in school. The entire room fell silent. Even Elder Prism looked surprised. Can I ask a question? Tom said. What exactly are you all trying to protect? Lord Crimson sputtered. Protect? We protect the ancient ways, the purity of royal blood, the... No, Tom interrupted gently. I mean, what are you really trying to protect? Your people. Your culture. Your way of life. Lady Azure leaned forward. The Zephyrian Empire has stood for 3,000 years because we follow the laws of our ancestors. Okay, Tom said, nodding. But how's that working out for you now? The room went quiet again. Queen Vera was watching him with curious silver eyes. I mean, Tom continued, you guys are so busy following old rules that you're about to start a civil war. 3,000 years of empire, and it might all end because nobody can agree on whether I'm qualified to marry your queen. You are not qualified, Lord Crimson stated flatly. You're absolutely right, Tom agreed, which seemed to confuse everyone. I know nothing about being royal. I can't speak your language properly, I don't understand your customs, and I fix air conditioners for a living. Queen Vera looked concerned. Tom, what are you doing? But here's what I do know, Tom said, standing up. I know that when a system is broken, you don't keep using the same broken parts. You find new parts that work better. Elder Prism's ancient voice rumbled through the hall. Explain yourself, human. Tom took a deep breath. This was either going to work or get him killed. Your empire is breaking down because it can't change, he said. You have all these noble houses fighting each other instead of working together. Your people follow orders without question, but they never get to say what they think. Your laws are so old and complicated that nobody can agree on what they mean. The crystalline faces around the table were unreadable, but Tom pressed on. What if we didn't throw out the old ways, he suggested. What if we just added some new ones? Such as? Queen Vera asked. Common councils, Tom said, remembering something from his school history classes. Let regular people have a voice in government. Not to replace the noble houses, but to work alongside them. Lady Azure looked horrified. Give power to commoners. That is chaos. Is it more chaotic than civil war? Tom asked. Elder Prism was quiet for a long moment. Continue, human king. On Earth, we learned that the best decisions come when different kinds of people work together, Tom explained. Rich people, poor people, smart people, practical people. Everyone brings something useful to the table. The human speaks of mixing bloodlines with common stock, Lord Crimson said with disgust. I'm talking about mixing ideas, Tom corrected. Keep your noble houses, keep your royal bloodlines, keep your traditions. But also listen to the people who actually live under your rule. Queen Vera stood up beside him. Tom is suggesting we create a new form of government. One that honors the old ways while embracing beneficial change. And how would this work? Elder Prism asked. Tom looked at Queen Vera, and she nodded encouragingly. Each world in your empire elects representatives to a common council, Tom said. The council works with the noble houses and the royal throne to make decisions. Important laws need approval from all three groups. Impossible, Lady Azure declared. Common people cannot understand the complexities of ruling an empire. They understand what it's like to live in one, Tom replied. And they might have ideas you've never thought of. The debate that followed was intense but different from before. Instead of arguing about ancient laws, they were discussing practical solutions. Some noble houses were interested in Tom's ideas, others remained strongly opposed. Then a new voice interrupted them. Fascinating discussion, came a cold voice from the hall's entrance. Too bad none of you will live to implement these changes. Everyone turned to see figures in black combat armor entering the room. Their leader removed her helmet, revealing a scarred human face that Tom didn't recognize. Diana Cross, representing the Human Purity Movement, she announced. We cannot allow our species to be contaminated by alien influence. You are assassins, Queen Vera said, her musical voice turning hard as steel. We are patriots, Diana replied. This disgusting marriage makes humanity look weak. We're here to correct that mistake. More armed figures appeared around the room. Tom counted at least 20 of them, all with advanced weapons pointed at the Zephyrian delegates. Tom Anderson, Diana called out. You will come with us voluntarily, or we will kill everyone in this room. Tom felt his stomach drop. These weren't alien enemies or political opponents. These were humans who wanted to kill him for marrying someone from another species. Don't do this, Tom said. These people are trying to build peace between our species. Peace through contamination is not peace, Diana replied. It's surrender. Queen Vera stepped forward, her crystalline skin beginning to glow with inner light. If you harm my husband, you will face the wrath of the entire Zephyrian fleet. Your husband is a traitor to his own kind, Diana said, raising her weapon. That was when Tom realized something important. For the past week, he had been thinking of himself as a human who accidentally married an alien. But sitting in this room, listening to both humans and Zephyrians work together on solutions, he understood that the marriage had changed more than just his legal status. He was no longer just human or just Zephyrian. He was something new. You know what? Tom said, stepping between Diana and Queen Vera. I think you're right about one thing. This marriage has contaminated me. Diana smiled coldly. Good. You admit your mistake. No, Tom said. I admit that being contaminated by alien ideas has made me smarter. Before Diana could react, Tom activated the emergency communication system built into the table. His voice broadcast to every ship in the system. This is King Tom, he announced. We have hostile humans in the meeting hall. They want to kill Queen Vera and destroy the peace process. Any ship that wants to help stop them is welcome to assist. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Zephyrian ships, human vessels, and even neutral species began converging on the station. Diana's small force was vastly outnumbered, but she still had hostages in the meeting room. You've doomed everyone here, she snarled. Actually, Tom said with a smile, I think I've just proven my point about cooperation. Elder Prism's ancient voice filled the room. Diana Cross of Earth, you have violated sacred diplomatic sanctuary. Surrender now, or face the combined fleets of 7 species. The standoff lasted only minutes. Faced with overwhelming force and no escape route, Diana's group surrendered. As security forces led them away, Diana glared at Tom. This isn't over, she warned. There are others who think like us. Maybe, Tom replied. But there are a lot more people who think like me. After the assassins were removed, the noble houses returned to their discussion with new urgency. The assassination attempt had shown them what could happen if they couldn't find peaceful solutions to their problems. The humans' ideas have merit, Elder Prism announced. But implementing them will require careful planning. We have time, Queen Vera said. Tom's Common Council concept could be tested on a few worlds first. Over the next several hours, they worked out the details of a new government structure. The noble houses would maintain their traditional roles, but they would share power with elected common councils. Queen Vera would remain the ultimate authority, but major decisions would require consultation with both groups. Tom suggested creating advisory positions where humans and Zephyrians could work together on technical problems. His experience fixing the atmospheric controls had shown him that different perspectives could solve problems faster than traditional methods. This is not the empire I inherited, Queen Vera said as the meeting concluded. But perhaps it is the empire my people need. 6 months later, Tom stood on the observation deck of the royal ship, watching construction crews from 12 different species building the new capital station. The Zephyrian Empire had become the Zephyrian Confederation, and the common councils were already solving problems that had puzzled the noble houses for centuries. Queen Vera joined him at the window, her crystalline skin warm with contentment. No regrets about the broken air conditioner, she asked with amusement. Tom laughed. Best maintenance job I ever did. Even if I never actually fixed the problem. Oh, but you did fix the problem, Queen Vera said. Just not the one you thought you were working on. The Confederation had become the most successful multi-species alliance in galactic history. Tom's human instinct for improvisation, combined with Zephyrian strength and organization, created solutions that neither species could have achieved alone. And their accidental marriage, which had started as a diplomatic disaster, had become the foundation for a new kind of civilization. One that proved the best answers often came from the most unexpected places. Tom smiled as he watched human children playing with young Zephyrians in the station's gardens. Sometimes the most important discoveries happened when you weren't looking for them at all. The chaos had indeed followed their accidental wedding. But from that chaos had come something beautiful.